It's another great day to design with a few pretty petals in mind. Hi there. We are actually going to design outside today. It was so pretty and I wanted to take advantage of that. So we're getting out I believe 4x8 table and covering it with a black tablecloth because we're going to be using reds and deep pinks today, so it'll really make it pop. And in the background you see one of my gardens. It is dahlias, ranunculus, and snapdragons that will be coming up in that garden. I'm so excited, so definitely stay tuned for that. But today we'll be working with roses, spray roses, fillers such as hypericum, and a kind of hot pink filler, and then kind of dressing it up with some boutonniere pins, which I'll definitely show you all in another video how to do that. So you can see the deep red garden roses, the spray roses that are kind of a cream color, the red hypericum. I also have deep burgundy carnations, which are very pretty. And we're going to wrap this as a handheld bouquet for prom with red ribbon. I'm very excited. I love making these and I love seeing the reaction and expression from the girls when they get them. But today I'm just going to show you how to actually prep the flowers, and we have to process them, so we're going to get them ready before we actually arrange them. So making sure to get all the leaves off, any bad petals, the guard petals, we're going to clean them up and make sure they last for as long as possible in the design. And we also have that red to burgundy looking hypericum, which makes for a really pretty monochromatic design. So with the roses, the carnations, the hypericum, they're all reds, and then breaking it up a little bit with the cream colored roses and the pink filler, which is close to a red, not too close to a light pink, so it works out really well. And then I have a vase, so after I get done processing each flower with clean water, this vase has clean water in it, I will make sure to cut each flower at an angle with my handy dandy cutters that don't want to come out of its holder. There we go. And cut those at an angle and then place them in the water so they can stay fresh until we design. So I'm taking off all the thorns. I'm getting off all the guard petals that don't need to be there, that don't allow the design to last as long as possible, because we want it to last, especially since they will be out of water at prom. This is another reason why we do all this, to make sure the design lasts as long as possible. More guard petals, removing those. Make sure to watch for the thorns on these roses because they're kind of tricky, so I had to look at each one and get all of those off. And you can peel the guard petals back by taking your thumb and gently pressing down, and they'll just pluck off. You won't have to do any real extra work. Don't forget about those thorns, every single one. And then I'm also getting all the unnecessary leaves from the bottom, because once we actually design them, I won't need as much foliage on the bottom because I need them to be tight together. So just keep that in mind too, to get all the leaves off as much as you can. I like to leave a few at the top because it's still pretty, but at the end of the day you don't really need them because you won't be able to see them anyways once you actually design the arrangement, and it's a handheld, so you won't really see the foliage. So now we're getting all the roses together. They're done. These are garden roses, so they have kind of that ruffle look. And I want to show you what these look like up close. They're so pretty. That deep red, and they kind of have that ruffled, feathery look, not like a regular rose. And that's how you know the difference between a regular rose and a garden rose, which garden roses should be in season right now too. So I don't know if you're growing anything, but I definitely have to get on the roses. They're so beautiful this time of year with everything else that's coming up. Now we're doing the spray roses. And these spray roses, they have so many healthy laterals on them, which means they have longer stems that you can use. So I go ahead and I take those off, and I'll use those for boutonnieres and wrist corsages. And then I leave about 3 spray roses per stem. They're called a spray because it is a spray of roses. It's not just one like what we started with. It is a spray of roses. And I'm taking off each nasty petal or guard petal that actually guards the spray roses. And these are a little bit tedious, so you have to be mindful and careful of what you're looking at when it comes to the spray roses. Again, taking off all the bottom ones and keeping those for boutonnieres and wrist corsages. Looking at each one and making sure to get off any nasty petals or brown that you see. And if it's not salvageable, just put it to the side and either dry it or throw it away, but don't just pick at it because it's not worth it. And that's something I have to work on. I have to just leave it alone if it can't be saved. But I like to save like every flower. So after you make sure that you have all that taken care of, we're cutting at an angle, which I'm using my knife for that. And we cut at an angle so every stem can drink. We want the flowers to drink accordingly. Leaving those 3 stems up top so it's just enough. The 3 stems and the flowers seem to be the right number when in an arrangement. It doesn't take over with the other flowers, so that's why I leave 3 on top. So it doesn't take over the other flowers. It's just enough, a pop of spray roses, and it goes together really well. And I left a few leaves on the top of these because the foliage is not as overwhelming as on the garden roses, and it's pretty healthy. And you can, I threw that one away. You can use a knife or cutters, whatever makes you feel most comfortable. I have experience with a knife, a floral knife. That's what you should be using, is a floral knife if you decide to work with these flowers and you want to use a knife. I have experience with it, so I'm just using that instead of using my cutters. And I think I did about 5 stems of spray roses. I have 9 garden roses total. I did about 5 or 6 of those because we want it to be a full design, but not too much because she still has to hold it in her hand as a handheld. So those are all clean. And let's see what they look like up close. That beautiful cream color. It's like right between a green and a white and a yellow and a pink. I love that so much. And they're clean. They're good to go. You don't see any brown. You don't see any unnecessary petals. And now we're going to move on to the carnation. The carnations are easy. Oh, actually, no, the hypericum. We're going to do the hypericum, and with the they're easy too. We just take off all the leaves from the bottom, and they don't really need much on the top because they don't have any guard petals. We're just doing the leaves on the bottom because, again, you won't see the foliage when you actually arrange it in your hand. You won't see any of the foliage once all the flowers are put together. So we're looking for any brown leaves, any dead leaves. And the hypericum's done. Beautiful, easy, red little berries. They're a fun accent and filler. And they come in all colors. They come in white, green. I like the red for Christmas too. It's a really good one. We're cutting that at an angle too. All flowers have to be cut at an angle so they can drink. and put them in the vase of water, fresh water, with the rest of the stems. Now to the carnations. The carnations are kind of tricky. You have to be careful with the stem. So if you need to get a wire to wire them, do so for the strength and the stability of the carnation. Otherwise, you just fluff them out so they are a little bit more open and they don't look so poof, like a poof ball. They look more, flowery, if that makes sense. And sometimes I even take the centers out and make them look like a different flower. They're still a carnation, obviously, but it gives them just a little something, and people don't know what it is. They're like, is this a carnation? And carnations are one of the longest lasting flowers. I love these burgundy ones. They are one of my favorite colors in carnations, just so deep and rich. So the carnations are done, cutting them at an angle so they can drink. And the carnations and the hypericum, or they call it St. John's wort, is one of the longest lasting. So they're really good flowers to put in a handheld or a prom design. And now we're doing the pink filler. This kind of reminds me of aster. I don't know the specific name of it, but it's just easy. You don't have to really do anything with it. The foliage is beautiful on it. It doesn't have a lot of maintenance that's needed. I'm shaking it to make sure there's nothing that needs to come out, and we're good to go. Cutting it at an angle and getting ready for the actual design. Let's share the joy together this prom season.